So I've been hearing a lot of slander about Canada lately. That we're all just a bunch of yuppies that apologize too much, that we all own a polar bear or a moose, whichever one we could jump on first, and that we live in igloos and only go out to get more booze. And although you're kinda right on most of those, it varies a little bit from province to province, all right? Some places don't have meese, some places don't have polar bears, some places have to go to a specific place to get their liquor. And I would just like if when you're gonna slander us, when you're gonna make fun of us, you at least do it properly. You at least know who you're gonna make fun of, all right? So I figured I'd make this just to break down some of the areas in Canada, give people a little more to work with when they're insulting us instead of just, sorry, eh? Maple syrup, eh? All right? You can get a bit more creative with that. I think you could do a lot better with just a little bit of base knowledge. So that's what I'm going to do here today. I'm going to break down the map. I'm going to give a little bit about stuff from everywhere. And hopefully that'll just make some of the outside of Canadian humor, out, outside of Canada Canadian humor, just a bit better, to flow nicer, bit funnier. All right. So I figure best place to start. We'll start with the capital of Canada, Ontario, and our actual like capital city is Ottawa, not Toronto, the capital of Ontario. Don't fucking question me why our capital city is different than the capital of our capital province. It just is. It just is. And I mean, you can see Ontario here. She's a pretty big wedge. She stretches down into America a little bit. If you bring up the picture of Canada with America, you can see the border. It kind of looks like a little wiener. All right, a little wiener penetrating America, just to show that we're dominant. Although America's got that big Florida dong, but they're still the bottom, so who cares? Anyway, and Ontario, it's like the trade capital of Canada. Anything that comes in or out comes through Ontario, and it's essentially just one big city. All right. There's not a lot going on because there's too much going on. You don't know your neighbors, you don't know your best friends, you don't know shit because you have to know everything else. All right. This combined with the horrible weather in the winter we get can combine to make like car crash city if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't know how, but by Jesus, you see an Ontario guy on the road, he has no clue how to drive. He's crashing into shit everywhere, left and right. He's fucking like trying to Vin Diesel fucking brake around the corners. Whoo, she gets a bit scary. I ease up. I see them yuppies from Ontario coming to see our lighthouses in Nova Scotia. I'm like, you can have a bit more room because I know you're gonna fucking cut me off anyway, there, bud. But I digress. Ontario, it's like one big city. It's like if Halifax was a whole province, and I want nothing to do with that. All right, she's just gross. Um, I mean, we'll move right here because Quebec, it's just France. All right, you want to talk about bad place? You know, Quebec, they've been trying to get themselves out of Canada for a while now. They've literally been trying to remove themselves from Canada. You know what the Canadian map would look like without Quebec? I mean, I'm too lazy to like remove this whole thing, but you get it. Just all of this. We just have a fucking gap right in Canada, right in the middle of it. None of this would exist. And I mean, quite frankly, I'm all for it. We get rid of Quebec. We no longer have to learn French in schools. It'd be a nice thing. So, I mean, I'm next vote comes up. Bloc Quebecois, whatever their fucking government thing is. I'm voting for them. I want Quebec to no longer be part of Canada. All right? They already govern themselves. They already have their own language that forces the rest of us to learn it. They already have their own price on booze. That's the other thing. Quebec, cheapest booze in Canada by far. You're paying like 30 cents a beer. It's fucking sick, bud. But you have to put up with French speaking people. You have to learn France. You have to say, La beer. And nah, I ain't about that. We can let them be themselves. I can use my passport to get in if I need booze that cheap. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, they can just be their own place. So just remove that from Canada because they pretty much aren't even Canada already. But we have to call them a part of Canada, or we just have that massive gap and it looks bad. So unfortunately, we do have to bring them back. But I'm gonna like addendum. I'm gonna do an X instead of just straight erasing it, so that we know that's not really Canada. All right, it's France, Canada. All right, if they wanted to be a part of Canada, they could let us govern them at least. Um, Speaking of places that aren't really Canada, but we have to call them there because if not, it look weird. These prairies right here. All right, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, which you ask any Canadian with their salt, they can name with 100% accuracy any other province and probably their capital too. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna mix up the orders of the prairies. They're gonna put like Saskatoon, Manitoba, and Alberta, and guarantee happened on every test we had to do on this. Somebody would mess it up, but they're flat. It's where all of our horse sports came from. It's the reason that we have some cowboys in Canada because it's flat. There's nothing to do other than find horses, race them against each other. It's like America of Canada. That's what it is. All right. You're gonna have somebody own a gun because of the Fourth Reich, the Fourth Amendment, whatever. It's gonna be in the prairies, guarantee. All right, all they do it's like cowboy land. They just ride around shooting off. Also, Saskatoon, it's got the funniest fucking capital ever, Regina. They named their capital after a fucking lady part. What a bunch of little bitches. All right, just gonna throw that out there. But yeah, you want to be a cowboy, you move to the prairies. Otherwise, I mean, my trade deal with America is we trade the three prairies for Alaska, right? We take in a piece that you really don't want, but will actually work with, and you get the pieces that we really don't want that'll actually work with you. Moving over, we got British Columbia, and I mean, the only two things I know about British Columbia is it's essentially just an island. I genuinely don't know what this giant landmass is doing because it's literally just this is British Columbia. That's it. That's what everybody knows is British Columbia. If you said British Columbia has like more than one island, they'd be like, well, yeah, there's a few surrounding islands, but like that's it. All right, nobody acknowledges this big land piece. It's just this one little island here and maybe like a few off. All right, and the other good thing about British Columbia, their weed is on point. You want some sick fucking weed? You get it from either Nova Scotia, from some home dude in his backyard that's like growing it in a shed and has like been stuck in there for like years because of snow or God knows what. Or you go to British Columbia and you buy it from one of the dispensaries. Best legal weed, I'm going to say that because technically home growing in Nova Scotia is not legal to sell. I hate that, but whatever. We'll get to that when we get there. Moving on. Let's do Yukon. And you might be saying, why is Northwest Territories not where Yukon is? By the way, Yukon and Northwest Territories are two territories. That's it. And the only reason Yukon is not called Northwest Territories, despite the fact that it's more north and more west than Northwest Territories, is because some dipshit found gold in the Yukon and went, hooey, we got gold. Name it Yukon. Gotta get that Yukon gold. I shit you not. That is the only reason it's called Yukon. It's only there for like fucking old prospectors trying to pan for gold in a riverbed. That's it. That is like all it is. All right. You know what their major export is? Yukon Gold, the TV show on History Channel. Not the fucking actual gold, because it's all been mined up. It's fucking barren there now. Nobody lives there. You want like the least lived province? I mean, Yeah, it's Yukon. Northwest Territories, though, you got a bit more. It was kind of the same thing, but instead of wholly relying on the gold around there, they actually like put up some civilizations. And I mean, it's better than Alaska. We got more people there than Alaska. I can say that. It's still a giant barren landmass that nobody lives in. All of this top part here, population of 5. About that. Nobody lives up there. There's no point to live up there. It's all barren, and none of it takes up like 4 of those 5 people. I shit you not. Speaking of Nunavut, this is what we call the fucking north part of Canada. All right, this extends to the North Pole. You know why it extends to the North Pole? Because nobody wanted it. They said, "Hey, Canada, you want the shitty piece that nobody else wants?" I mean, sure, it increases our land mass. All these little bits, these islands, connected by ice. All right? But you can't drive across it because it's not good ice. It's all shitty ice. All of the resources, all of their food, everything has to be flown in. A bottle of Pepsi in Nunavut, $15, I shit you not, for a bottle of Coke. It is no reason to live there. Unless. See, here's the nice part about Nunavut. You can get paid a shit ton for going up there for like 6 months a year and teaching, mechanics, whatever. They're that desperate for workers. You go up there, you make bank just for doing your trade in a barren hellscape. Might not be worth it, but also I've heard that it's so dry that you don't need a hat, so, it balances itself out. All right, moving down, we got all the Atlantic provinces here. It's called that because they're all floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Apparently, all of them are connected somehow, but we all know that they're all just floating off. And we'll start with Newfoundland and Labrador, or as most people call it, Newfoundland. No idea why. Everybody forgets the N Labrador. It's kind of like having a third wheel on a date. It's kind of like having that one popular guy in the relationship and then he dates like who knows what, like when an actor marries somebody because they love them and not because it's another actor that they were in a movie with for a while, actress, whatever. It's another fucking rant I can get on about the actress thing. It's not like actor was gender specific, but anyway, I digress. Newfoundland and Labrador, they're famous for cod, and they're famous for being incomprehensible whatsoever. You go there and good luck. You're going to need a whole new translation. You're going to need somebody that knows how to speak Newfie. I've picked up bits and pieces, but I still don't know what it means when the mast is at full shaft and you have to kiss the cod. All right? You fucking lost me there. I'm not kissing a fish with a boner. Actual thing they do, by the way, kissing fish. Not, well, maybe with a boner, kind of greasy up there, but we keep it just because, the cod it brings in alone is worth it. We can put up with people not speaking any language other than, they literally speak Newfie. That is the saying around here. You're speaking Newfie when you're, like, incomprehensible. But, again, we tolerate it because fish, and because it's actually pretty beautiful up there. If you go up, she's got some nice wilderness. It's nice. New Brunswick, I think, has like a culinary school and that's it. And I could be wrong. Other than that, I don't know why it hasn't been absolved into PEI or Nova Scotia, because I think that's all it has is like destiny, like a few camping spots and a culinary school. I'm fairly certain. Not sure what else is there. New Brunswick is like completely unremarkable as a province in Nova Scotia. Somebody in the comments from New Brunswick is going to be like, but we have cool tourist spots and a big moose statue. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. That's about it, though. I don't know what else you got in New Brunswick. Should be called just Brunswick because there's nothing new about it. My suggestions is New Brunswick and PEI should fuse into Prince Brunswick Island. You know, just Prince Brunswick Island. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because, I mean, the only thing PEI's got going for it is that it's a giant ass potato farm. All right, that's it. They farm potatoes. They have a boardwalk with some cool stores and Anna Green Gables, which, for those that don't know, is I mean, yeah, I don't know either. Some redhead that lived in a foster home, I think, and there was like a TV show about her. That's yeah, the extent of my knowledge. You can go to the foster home, you can get a doll of the redhead, and you can eat some cow's ice cream. And I think they do a grilled cheese sandwich now, which is actually pretty good. Other than that, I mean, you can see how small it is here, PEI. I mean, we can zoom in here so you can see it better. It's this one right here, and you can literally drive across it in like 3 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours if you're really giving her. Not big at all. All right, end to end. Like I said, you could run it in a day. It's just a big potato farm. That's it. Although the potatoes they make on point. Get some PEI potatoes and you'll know what I mean. They're like those nice red ones and ooh, chef's kiss. All right. And that leaves me with my hometown, my fucking home province, Nova Scotia. And if you think I'm gonna be biased, you're fucking wrong. I'm gonna rip into this shithole in a minute. I just want to say one good thing about Nova Scotia. It is such a shithole that so long as you make it middle class, you are like above everybody else, all right? It is such a shithole. If you can afford your power bill, you're peak. That's it. That's your top Nova Scotian if you can afford that. All right. Our power company has been privatized. Fucking power bills are through the roof. Our fucking liquor corporations have been privatized. You have to buy all your liquor and weed from something called the Nova Scotia Liquor Community. Fucking bullshit, all right? Let me sell my homegrown weed. Let me sell my own liquor. Let me run a booze store and a weed dispensary. Stop fucking getting in my way just because you think that I'm going to start selling meth and illegal shit or whatever. I think it's because of taxes, but if you look at the numbers, they barely brought in tax off weed after selling it in the LC. It's hilarious. All right. You got like nowhere. The only place that people live in is Halifax and that region, and that's a shithole. All right. Halifax is so bad that they have to make fun of their neighbors across a bridge, Dartmouth, which I agree, all right? Nobody should name a place Dartmouth. That's pretty nasty. But they have to make fun of them just to make themselves look better. All right, other than that, I mean, if you live near Citadel Hill, then you get to hear a cannon fire off at noon every day. And if you live in the valley, then, I mean, you get to drive a half hour for your groceries every day. Other than that, I mean, your general living space is 600 square feet. Like I said, if you like living in a shithole, if you like just barely scraping by because everything's so fucking expensive, if you liked the year 2002, live in Nova Scotia because that's kind of what it's like. All right, we're just so far behind in everything. Best place ever. I'm classy. I'm classy in Nova Scotia just because I don't do meth. That's how good it is. But yeah, Canada as a whole, great place to live. Would always recommend people to move here, especially doctors. Doctors, please move here. We really need some doctors. All right, I don't feel like waiting in patients because I broke my leg. I'd literally splint it myself. But yeah, other than starving for doctors, low poverty, major exports, including Christmas trees. Living in Canada is great, all right? Don't pass it up if you're planning on moving, because, I mean, you can just sell your house for $500,000, move here, and be the richest man in all of Canada. Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, pick your spot carefully, take what I've said into consideration, and I'll see you later. Mm, so, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. You want to bite? In all seriousness, thanks for making it this far. If you enjoyed the video, best thing you can do right now is share it to a friend. A sub never hurts. And I mean, I'm also on Twitch somewhat regularly. All right. Just ignore like the giant gaps that I'm not on Twitch. That's just because life happens. Anyway, thanks for watching. Uh, I'll see you in the next one.